It was good in Sideline Story Podcast. Back. Me and your boy Corey. What's up, man?
Was good, man. Appreciate you having me back. A lot has
Appreciate
happened.
you. Appreciate you pulling up. Um, this is NBA Updates episode 3. So we're gonna get straight to the news. But first, a transaction we already knew happened, but I want to kind of talk about something real quick. So I was watching Paul George podcast today, and he was kind of opening up about what happened between him and the Clippers as far as like negotiations are concerned. And what he was saying was I think he said, don't quote him on this, but like it started in like October, right before the season had started. He was trying to see where they was at as far as like a new deal, and because he said the first deal they offered was kind of it was disrespectful. 2 years, 60. Ain't nobody taking that, especially on his caliber. So he said he kind of they kept negotiating throughout the season, and he said it started to affect him as far as like chemistry, like the way
Oh shit. Boy done froze up.
he was towards everybody, kind of wanted to be by himself a little bit until the end of the season. And end of the season, he said around the time they found out that Kawhi got the 3 years, $150, he was like, "Cool, I'll take that." Pretty much he'll take that. And but he said he wanted 3 years, 150 with a no trade clause, and they said no. So I guess at that point he was like, "Well, let me just go ahead and ask for the 4 years, 200, because it's like if y'all gonna trade me, just go ahead and like let me get my money, and then y'all can, whatever." But I want to ask you, like, because if he wanted the same deal that Kawhi got and they offered that, is it more of like y'all didn't offer it to me when I wanted the deal?
Yeah, I hate to say who should be getting paid what. Like I feel weird talking about it, but Kawhi got paid that much. I don't think, to me personally, I don't think Paul George should make as much as Kawhi. So if we're going off my logic, I would think that Kawhi is the number one player for that team, even though I know he's in and out, hurt, whatever. But he's their main option. He's their guy that they trying to build this around. So I don't think he should get paid as much as Kawhi. And even when Kawhi's playing, his numbers have been far better than Paul George's. So I get where Paul George is coming from because especially this season, he was there. He was consistent, played over 70 games. He was that guy for when Kawhi was still out of the lineup. So I get where he's coming from. So they started out with a disrespectful offer, and then they should be able to see during the season, like, okay, he's here, he's playing, he's performing. I think he was an all-star again this year as well, if I'm not mistaken.
He was.
So I get where he's coming from with wanting to get that same contract as Kawhi, but for me, I just don't think that they should be paid the same, but I also don't like saying what somebody should get paid. So it's a weird situation. But I can understand both sides. But I guess if I had to pick a side, I'd probably side with Paul George. Like, at least I'm here, I'm playing, and I don't think what he was asking for was outrageous, but I don't know, it's tricky. It's tricky.
I think this is my personal opinion. I think they were gonna trade him anyway. That's just me. I feel like what they offered him initially was, I feel like that's what they really wanted to do, because they gave James 2 years, 70, right?
Yeah.
James Harden got 2 years, 70. Kawhi got 3, 150. They offered him 2 years, 60. I feel like this was them trying to get like under the second apron, kind of.
Because also trying to manage how you handle like aging stars, like because they're all three of those guys are getting up higher in age, like mid-30s, and so you don't want to fully commit to them, but giving them like a 4 or 5 year deal, but you also don't want to be without them. So you try to find like some middle ground, which is going to upset the player because they want obviously that last contract at least to get the maximize the money they can make in the league. So it's always going to be a tricky situation. Somebody's going to end up upset. So we saw with Clay, Clay wanted this and they offered that, and so it's always trying to see, well, who's gonna give you what you're worth because your age and it's man, I hate it.
We get into that part of our era of basketball with the players that we grew up watching. I was thinking earlier, like Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Kyrie, Paul George, now DeMar DeRozan, James Harden. If you really look, it's a lot of they moving a lot. They not you don't have like the Currys or like the Dirks and the Kobe's and the Duncans. Everybody just thugging it out with this one team. I feel like Draymond and Curry are really gonna be those players of our generation, but everybody else is like really it's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, I'm even looking at Chris Paul's career. Like he's been on so many teams now. I'm looking at the list of teams. I'm like, this is more than 6. I want to say this was. You got New Orleans, then you got Clippers, and then he went Thunder. Was it Thunder after that?
I think it was Rockets,
Thunder,
Phoenix, then Golden State. That's 17.
And he had the Wizards. Didn't he get traded to the Wizards and traded to Golden State?
Nah, technically,
yeah.
He never suited up for Washington.
Right. But still, that's a lot. Like for one of the greatest point guards of all time. Like
if you want to count it to be petty,
that's wild.
We can say 8 though.
Yeah, like it's been like the last couple of years. It's like a new team every season. It's like, man, that's Chris Paul. Like he's been on all these teams.
This is like the other side of like the superstardom that we grew up watching with all these great players of our generations. Like at the tail end of their careers, is like you see all these nasty breakups and all these different teams that they reside in. It's just kind of shocking. But like the older we get, I feel like we understand that it's more of a business. Because I feel like when we was watching basketball earlier, we were just invested in like the players and like the teams. But now you can't help but be interested in what the business side looks like. Yeah. That's just what comes with like curiosity and being like a agent NBA fan. But I want to get into some news real quick. Finally, it looked like the Chicago Bulls they turned the house down, man. What once looked promising with like Caruso, Lonzo, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Vooch, Nikola Vucevic. It looked promising to me.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, it did look promising. I thought they'd be a pretty good competitive team, but injuries and more injuries, and it just didn't work out in their favor. And so with that, we ended up seeing another player head out of town in DeMar DeRozan. He went to Sacramento. Now, from a basketball standpoint, I'm still kind of trying to talk myself into it, because if you're a Sacramento fan, what you can be optimistic about in DeMar past like 11 years is 20 plus points a game, 6-time All-Star. He pretty much plays most of the time. He doesn't really get hurt. I think this last season it was like 25 a game. He's very clutch. Another stat I heard, him and De'Aaron Fox are like the 2 best players in the NBA as far as scoring clutch points under the last 2 minutes of the game. So you have those 2 players on the same team, but those 2 players need the ball in their hands in order to be effective. And DeMar DeRozan isn't really like a prominent like 3-point shooter. Tell me how you feel about the move, though.
I mean, for the Kings, I like the move overall, just because I'm always a fan of when a team gets like a star player at the guard position, the wing position, the big position. So now they got that with Sabonis, Fox, and DeMar DeRozan. It's kind of like a poor man's, like what the Sixers got going with Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George now. I don't know how high up this moves them in the ranks of the West. I think they're still going to be one of those middle ground teams, kind of bordering close to that play-in spot. But I like that they're trying to help Fox out, because I think Fox, he's kind of getting a little bit disgruntled. I think you can kind of see it, and he even kind of talks about it like he wants to win. He's kind of frustrated being not being able to get over that hump. So overall, I do like the move for Chicago. I don't know how this works out for them, because now pretty much all you left with is, I mean, you got LaVine, who you've been shopping around. Lonzo is supposed to be coming back. We don't know how he's going to look. I love Kobe White over there. He had a great season. Then you got Vucevic, which I don't know if he's going to want to stick around after this. So it's like you got nothing on that roster. I mean, hopefully, I don't know what I can't remember what the trade was specifically. Hopefully they got some picks out of it, but you lost Caruso. You traded him to OKC, and you pick up Giddey, but I don't see him being much of a difference maker. So Chicago's in a tough position. They definitely won't be in the playoffs. And for the Kings, I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think this is a move that puts them into like real contender status yet.
To piggyback off what you said about De'Aaron Fox, if I'm not mistaken, the reports are he's not necessarily rushing to sign his contract extension just yet, because he kind of wants to see what the roster looks like. If I'm not mistaken, they can make another move if they check them. Locked On Kings Network, just to see how they was feeling around the city. They were pretty optimistic from what I was hearing. But they did sign Malik Monk to a new extension. I believe he got like $70 million
Yeah.
from him. From a basketball fit, I'm interested to see what Mike Brown does with this, with the dynamic of like Fox and DeMar DeRozan. I feel like at this point, DeMar DeRozan can be like a solidified third option because his workload was always crazy, especially in Chicago, because with all of the injuries that was sustained by the other players, it's like
Yeah.
DeMar's the only high end scorer that we have, and with Sacramento, it's like okay, we got Fox, we got Sabonis, and now DeMar, you could kind of slide into that spot where they hope that Harrison Barnes will kind of be able to lift them in that at that small forward position. But it kind of didn't really work out that way. I feel like DeMar is way more consistent than Harrison Barnes is. He's a more of a dynamic scorer than Harrison Barnes. DeMar
Yeah.
can get to the free throw line. He's clutch. I'm interested. It's just that the Western Conference is just kind of crazy, So it's like I'm in agreement with you as far as like middle of the road. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and a lot of it's gonna depend on how their young players are developing, like Keegan Murray, because he's a shooter. He can spread the floor out. So I think if he takes a step up and ups his game and he's shooting, 40+% for three, that's gonna help them out a lot. Because DeMar can't really outside the mid range, he's not really stepping out to the three too often, so he can't really keep the defense honest out there. Fox, he's decent from out there, and he's three-level scorer, so he can get to the rack, and he's got a decent mid range floater. So we know what Sabonis is gonna do, triple double machine. Um, they got some pieces. It's just a matter of like defensively, I want to see how they work together, and if their young players take that next step up. Because if they do, then I can see them possibly getting to like a 5 seed. Like I can see them getting that high. Because I mean, you think the year before they was cooking and they was working with something, but then this season they kind of dropped off a little bit. So I mean, if they able to mesh, and Mike Brown, he's a great coach, so I think he'll be able to figure something out. I just don't know how high up they still can go with the West being so competitive. It's a lot going on over there.
At this moment, in the new calendar year, you saying the ceiling is potentially like that 5th seed? That's their ceiling as for
Yeah,
right now.
I can see him because I think a couple of those teams that have been like more towards the top, like I think we're gonna see Denver kind of slide a little bit. I think OKC is. I think they're the clear cut 1 seed right now. We got to see how Dallas with Clay, how he meshes over there. Also, we'll see if they go up or down. I'm expecting the Wolves to be still in that same spot up there, but I think a lot of it is up for grabs. There's a lot of you got to think about outside of those top 4 in the West. Like it's a lot of stuff that's kind of up for grabs. So I think they could get that 5 seed. I think play-in for them is like worst case scenario. I don't see them missing the playoffs, but I think play-in worst case scenario.
I don't think they missed the playoffs. It's just somebody happy. Adam Silver or whoever the powers that be, the owner, somebody happy because from a parity standpoint, you're getting plenty of it. And especially with this new CBA agreement that's coming in, we're going to get plenty more of it. I don't really know what to make of the West at this point in time. My personal opinion, I love my Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to ride out. I think we could be anybody. That's just how I'm built as a fan. But if I'm being like realistic, it's hard to see Oklahoma not being the number 1 seed just because of like it's if plugging holes in your deficiencies was a team, I would think it would be Oklahoma City because now it's like Josh Giddey can't shoot. You replace him with one of the best defensive perimeter players in Alex Caruso, and it's like a career 41% from 3, and then you get Chet, some of the best help you could possibly get on the open market, and a great defensive player like Isaiah Hartenstein, who I actually like very much from the New York Knicks. So it's like that's gonna be kind of hard to compete with, and then you got steady progression with like Shea and Jay Will, stuff like that, and that's gonna be dope. But to speak to like the flip side of the Sacramento situation, Harrison Barnes actually goes to the Spurs. Him and CP3. Now with the Chris Paul move, I like it from the standpoint of all the wisdom that he can give off to like Castle and Trey Jones and like Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, even Wemby. I believe that I think they're gonna get pissed at Chris Paul, me personally, because I think he's gonna give Wemby the ball. Everybody move, get out the way. He's getting the ball because at this point, like one thing about Chris Paul, he's unapologetic in who he is. He's a bona fide leader. He's won a lot in this league, and I feel like sometimes when you have like that know-how, you can kind of shun everything else that's off to the side. He's gonna do what makes sense. What makes sense is I'm giving Wemby the ball almost all the time. Probably he's gonna give them some stability on the floor when he's out there on the floor. But like I'm giving Wemby the ball, man. This is how I feel. But before you get into yours, I want to ask you like a quick question, real quick. And
Yeah.
this is just me being kind of goofy, real quick. If you San Antonio, do you go to Wemby and be like, "Hey, yo, listen, I think we should try to go after Cooper Flag next year." Do you like? I understand you want to win, but we got to get you a running mate. We have to get you. I feel like before his rookie contract expires, it would be in their best. It would be in their best minds to try to give him a running mate before he get pissed. Wemby not finna, yeah.
It sounds good, but the only problem with the NBA is that it's a lottery. So it's not like the NFL where you could tank, have the worst record, and you guaranteed that top pick. Like you could have the worst. I don't think the last couple of years the team with the worst record has gotten the top pick. So it's like you're taking that risk. And so say you tank or you just play terrible and you end up with the worst, like the highest odds to win the lottery. But then say you end up with like a fourth pick. It's like you just wasted his whole season. And you could have at least tried to compete and maybe like build some confidence going forward into the future. So I mean, it makes sense because I'm on record. I think Cooper's gonna be that guy in the league. Like I saw highlights of him today against Team USA. He cooked AD on a little pull-up three, like a little shake 'em three. He had some buckets. So I think he's gonna be the truth. I just don't know if Wemby. I don't know if I'm Wemby if I accept that offer and be like, okay, yeah, let's try and tank and go for it.
I don't see Wemby doing it. Like not for nothing. You know, this draft is supposed to be. Like, I'm already hearing promising things about this 2025 draft anyway. So like, it's more prizes to be had than just Cooper Flag. But go ahead.
And I mean, and even with the Spurs, like think about it. If they really went out there, because I don't think they have a terrible roster right now.
Nah.
Add a couple pieces. So if you really went out there and competed, I think they could be a borderline playing team. Like I think they got the potential. I think Wemby's gonna be almost an MVP candidate this season, especially if their record improves. Like he's gonna probably most likely win Defensive Player of the Year. Like they got some pieces. Castle is gonna be a good point guard. I think they could get some good chemistry going. Could be a good duo for the future. So they really got a chance to like really build on some stuff right now. And then you can even make a move mid-season. Like if you see things going one way, like if it's going good, but you're like, oh, we just need this one piece here. You could make some moves during the season. So I think you got to be optimistic if you're over there in San Antonio. You got a great coach, you got a decent roster and a great cornerstone. So I mean, the future is looking bright if you really commit to it and they working over there, which Papa's gonna have them working. You know, Chris Paul, like you said, he got Castle. He can put him under the wing and kind of show him how to be a pro and get him off on the right start to his career. Then they got a good shot. They got a real good shot.
I'm trying to think what else took place. Not for nothing. How you feel about D'Anthony Melton and Buddy Hield going to Golden State? I know Melton had like some back issues. But if he could come back and be like that defender and like 3-and-D type of guy, along with like Buddy Hield, you know, Curry and Buddy Hield, like the two players most made threes over the past few seasons. They're on the same team now. I guess they trying to give Golden State something. I know it's not respectfully because these are NBA players, but like they're not world beaters. You know what I'm saying? Like they are trying to do something, you know.
I like the Buddy Hield pickup just because that lets you to be able to keep some type of like continuity in your offense because you can use Buddy Hield just like you use Clay. So it's not too much like once he learns the system, it's not too much of a fall off. He's still going to shoot it at a high percentage. So and they're similar players. I mean, he doesn't have as good a defense as Clay, but he's got size on him, so he'll be able to fit into that roster and kind of like not kind of the offense will still be able to flow. Melton, like you said, we got to see how he looks. I think I think they could use some defense over there for sure. So. And they one of the teams that prefer to play like a smaller lineup. So you definitely gonna need him out there on the court. At this point, you need all the help you can get for Steph as far as like scoring goes. You need somebody else that can put the ball in the bucket because Draymond's not gonna be able to do it. You got what's his name, Podzimski or whatever his name is. I think he's gonna be promising. Wiggins, I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I don't really trust Wiggins at all. So really don't got too many bucket getters outside of Steph, and then Buddy Hield can kind of knock down the three. So they got some things to figure out. You lost Chris Paul, but overall, I think it's a good move. It's kind of like a stop the bleeding type of move, but for them to be able to make the playoffs, they're gonna need a little bit more because that Steph's gonna have to carry that squad to get them there. It's a tough uphill battle.
I think how much of this year kind of like ends up on like a situation where like Kuminga just has to take another step.
I mean, I'm sure they banking on that, but at the same time, like Kerr got to give him a shot. Like you got to just let him loose at this point. He going into what year? Is this year 3 or year 4 now? Like
I feel like year 4.
you got to let him play. Like we've seen like flashes of damn near greatness out of him. Like he's like, especially when he's on the court with like Clay or Steph and Draymond. I've seen him look phenomenal in some games. I know he's made some bonehead plays, he's made some mistakes, but you got to let him play through it. I feel like because defensively he is a stopper. He's an athletic, like he's a machine. He's like one of the most athletic players I've seen on the court in the last 15 years. Like you just got to give him that shot to go out there and play because he could bring his upside is so much higher than like his floor. Like I just think you got to let him play, especially in the situation we're in now where you short on players, you struggle. You're probably gonna be struggling, like presumably. So why would you not be giving him this opportunity right now? He should be in the starting lineup. He should probably be like your third option. And I would just say like this is like his make or break year. Like let's see what he got for real because the time is now.
From a statistical standpoint, if you kind of look at the averages, it looks like he's primed to make another big leap because for the first 2 years in his career, he averaged 9 points. Second year, you could say 10, 9.9 points per game. You could say 10, but this last season, he averaged 16. So that's like a 7-point leap. So by the numbers, it's telling you, okay, if he could jump up like another 4 to 5 points per game, that should help Steph out a ton.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, in other words, you need Podziemski to make a leap in his game too. So I ain't gonna lie, I don't really like what's happening to Steph right now. And I know he's won 4 championships is crazy. Like four is crazy. Like a lot of players never get one, let alone even get to the finals. But it's like when you got this generational talent, and to be honest, they'll probably never have another player come through those doors like 30 again. It's likely that they won't, but when at the end of his career, it's like how much can you really do? You know, like you said, well, Wiggins, I don't know what they'll get out of him. If Wiggins is focused, if they get like that 2022 Wiggins with Kuminga and Pods and like Buddy Hield and Draymond, like it just depends. Like they may need 3 20-point scores, you know, like the old Warriors.
For me at this point, I'm packing Wiggins up. Like he just have to go. I just focus on using Kuminga, giving him that go ahead to be that guy to replace Wiggins, give him that real opportunity because if you're the Warriors, like I mean, you really don't got like Steph's not gonna be around for like a rebuild. He's not trying to rebuild, so he wants. That's why I'm mad they kind of like the Clippers kind of wouldn't do that Paul George trade with him. It was kind of I feel bad for Steph because they really would have helped him out a lot. So I just think in this case, if I'm the Warriors, I'm shipping Wiggins for whatever I can. I'm all in on Kuminga becoming a borderline. I don't want to say all-star, but like borderline, like you said, 20 to 22 points per game, really giving Steph a true option out there, take some of that pressure off of him, and just kind of developing from that because they in a tough spot. You know, Draymond's not gonna score it like that. He might not even be around with. He's hot-headed, so we don't even know how much he's gonna play. So I'm going in with Steph, Kuminga, Buddy Hield, and just seeing what they can do. I really believe in Kuminga. I think he can get it done.
If I'm Steph, I have to sit Draymond. I have to talk to Draymond before the season starts, even before training camp. Forget that, before training camp. Like, I need you more than ever, bro. Like, we got to set the tone because, like, this is the last dance. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is really, this is it. However we're gonna. I know we're gonna remember them as champions, but like in the moment, this is how they set the tone. But
yeah, and you know they don't want to go out like this, so they should be doing everything they can to kind of at least make a little push and not go out, missing the playoffs, losing the play-in. Think that's not how you want it to end. You want to at least give some type of fight. So they got to step it up.
Now, a deal that shocked me, I'm not gonna hold you. When Caleb Martin, when he went to Philly, I think he turned down $60 million, like $66 million. He ended up signing in Philly for like 30. I was like, whoa. I don't know I haven't really read into too much about it. Do you know anything as to why he turned down so much?
I don't know why he turned it down, but I mean, if I'm speculating, I think it's just like you look at the landscape and you look at that Miami Heat roster and like the progression and where they have the potential to go. I don't really think they have much upside. I think, with the whole Jimmy stuff going on, Tyler Hero is we know who he is at this point. I don't think you're comfortable with if you really want to win a championship. I don't think Bam Adebayo is gonna be the one to get you there. So if you're looking at on the other coin, you got Philly over here. They got Paul George now. They got this big three. and they still got a little bit of money, like, I mean, I'll take a little pay cut if I got a chance at possibly really like a real chance at winning a ring. So I think he's had a taste, been in the finals before, so he might be want to really get to that mountaintop and give himself the best opportunity to get there, which would in this situation be with Philly. So I mean, I'm sure something to come out down the line. We'll figure out why he took that route. But if I'm just speculating, that's what it's looking like for me.
I'm all for players getting their money, but it's like when you make a move like this to win, I appreciate it even more. Um, I feel like with them getting like Eric Gordon and Paul George, getting those two players, like that's a really decent free agency. And then when you get Caleb Martin too, who's a very productive player, and that he coacher, I'm like, they winning. They like a top 3 winner in free agency right
Oh yeah,
about. That's a dope. That's a dope. I think that's a dope move, man. That's a dope move. Shout out to them. I was shocked to see that he turned down so much money, but at the end of the day, he trying to compete. I think they got like a good 2-year window for sure, 2 to 3 year window. Probably try to get this thing done, but
yep,
that was a dope move.
yeah. I think overall, I think all they need to do at this point, well, they got Drummond to back up Embiid again, but I don't know how I feel about Drummond. He can rebound, but I mean, you gotta really go into it thinking like, okay, Embiid is probably gonna get hurt. I mean, you obviously knock on wood that he doesn't, but I think for them to really be able to carry through the season, you gotta have some type of plan in place for if Embiid gets hurt because if he goes down, that whole shit is getting derailed. So I think right now I would give them probably like top 3 odds to make it to the finals. So they definitely got something. They just gotta. I mean, I expect Maxey to be another All-Star season for him. Paul George gonna be Paul George. You got Oubre still, who's a great two-way player. So that's a scary team. That's a team that scares me the most right now is Philly. I do not want to see Philly.
I think since Joel Embiid has been I'm trying to think. Other than like the Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler team, I feel like this is the team. This might be the best team that he's had. Would you say so? Or you like?
Maybe I
I
really
like
like the
this
team
team
they had
though.
the year before with Harden. I like that squad.
Yeah, that team was good too. I actually like that
I like
team.
that squad a lot. So I think it's a toss up between those two for sure.
I think Philly is trying to show him that we serious about having you stay here in Philly and Joel Embiid because I heard that he could sign like a 3-year, $190 million extension or something like. I think that's the most they give him like in the short term or something like that. I believe. But I definitely like the approach Philly is taking with Joel Embiid. Is like we're going out, we're getting you everybody that you want to play with. So I think they're a dope team. I think with the Caleb Martin move. I might have them lap in New York now. I was very high on New York, but they came with conditions like can they keep Isaiah Hartenstein? I know that payroll would have been kind of crazy if they were able to keep him.
Yeah.
They have a lot of great deals. They still have some extensions they have to get done. So maybe like another year or two, it would kind of got a little shaky around there. But I think I got Philly number 2 in the East behind y'all.
Yeah,
Possibly,
I got Philly second for sure. Like it's not
possibly.
even a question for me.
Yeah. What does happen before we get up out of here? What does happen?
What else happened? Let me see. I mean, I don't think it was much, really. I think that was we got to all the stuff outside like that first wave of like big news. I think that was it. I mean, we still got some things in question, like with Jimmy and Julius Randle. Some guys still in limbo whether they're gonna stay or they're gonna go. But I think as far as all the signings, we got to unless I'm forgetting somebody, I think we got to everything.
I mean, it was some contracts out there that I was kind of like, it was kind of some head scratchers. Like I said, I ain't against nobody making their chicken, but like that Patrick Williams deal was kind of like, I was kind of like,
Oh yeah.
I understand that like you have a floor of money that you have to spend. Like they don't let you just keep cap space. So they don't have. You got to spend some of that money. I was like, yo, but let me ask you this: the Franz Wagner deal. How you feel about that deal?
That's a lot of money for him. I saw that and I was like, whoa, because it was what 200, it was 200 something million, right?
Like 224 for 5 years,
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player, don't get me wrong.
right?
But if I'm them, I'm looking to see where I can spend that elsewhere. Like I think you can definitely upgrade from him. And then I don't think it'll be hard to attract players to want to come to Florida with the no tax. So I'm like, I would have probably tried to see if I can, got somebody else to come into this building and play alongside Paolo because that's a lot of money for a guy who's ceiling is pretty much where he's at right now. I don't see him getting much better than where he's at. And where he's at, I would never pay 200 million if I was the leader of that franchise. So I mean, I get it. You got the money and you got to spend it, but man, that's oof. Hey, shout out to, to Franz. You got the bag.
I think they really like the squad that they have. They have a lot of youth and guys like Suggs, Paulo, Franz, him and Mo. They signed both of the brothers, both of the Wagner brothers, if I'm not mistaken. I think they got both of them on the contracts now. So I feel like they felt maybe if we just keep our guys, we got them in the playoffs. If they just learn from this and like grow as players, they'll be able to keep that continuity going. Maybe they like the spot that they're in right now. I think a lot of the times too, like with these young contracts, it's basically like a projection of what they think. It's like your upside, basically. You know, Paulo can get a crazy deal when his time is up too. But
I think he deserves that. He should definitely get 300 plus.
Yeah, I'm a Paulo fan, so yeah, that's just how they go. But I think we straight. I don't really have nothing else.
You been watching any of the summer league or no?
Man, by the time I turned on the Lakers joint, I think it was like almost halftime because Saturday was like a big boxing weekend, so I kind of was kind of disengaged. But you got anything you want to give us on Bronny real quick?
I mean, I know they're giving him a hard time for that first game, which I don't understand why. It's first game. It's just kind of it is what it is. It's summer league and it's his first game. Like it's gonna be nerves. It's gonna be kind of erratic performance. I mean, he made a couple good plays and he missed a lot of shots. It is what it is. And then people making a big deal now out of him like having a knee soreness and sitting out, and I just think it's overblown. We're making too big of a deal of it. But that's gonna happen. It's Bronny, so it's gonna happen.
But Summer League be like the biggest overreactions ever, bro. Wemby had his first game in Summer League wasn't crazy. He came back and cooked food. I'm like, bro, what was I before? Like Trae Young didn't have the best Summer League. He ended up being, you know what I do miss though? You remember when Summer League, I think it was in like Orlando in like the practice facility, and they used to tell about those games. I felt like that was I like Summer League in Vegas. I think it's dope how they had it in Vegas, but I just feel like in that Orlando, I feel like that was special. I feel like it was some dope runs. I kind of missed that on some nostalgia type stuff. But
I will say the most impressive to me so far in the Summer League was probably Ware from Miami. He had a real good game.
He had a crazy debut.
He had a real good game.
Like what he had, like 23 and 11, or was it 26?
He had 26. Yeah. He had a good game. He's looking all right. So if he can, I mean, like we said, it's just Summer League, but if he can get to the regular season and he can really like not put up 26 and 11, but if he can be a productive like player and play alongside Bam, like that's two good bigs to have on your roster if he performs like that. So yeah, he surprised me because when I first saw they picked him up, I was like, but I know it's Summer League, but if he can really do anything close to that, then they're in good hands. They might be able to, get that mid 5th, 6th round or 5th, 6th seed over there.
Not for nothing. Miami not bad at that drafting thing though. They really not.
Oh yeah. They definitely know how to. I don't know who's making the picks, whether it's Spoelstra or somebody else, whoever's scouting, but they got the right people over there for sure.
I appreciate you for pulling up. I'm gonna let you enjoy your night, man. Like I said, as the news keeps rolling out, we're gonna report to y'all how we feel about the news. I appreciate you pulling up, Corey, bro.
For sure, bro. Thank you, man.
I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a blessed night.